Alright, today we're going to be talking about hey, how's it going?
Going good. What are you up to?
Not much. I'm about to get started. So we're going to talk about Buddha in the tarot deck.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and start the beginning chant. Oh. Refuge in the three jewels. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and of love. I take refuge in the Sangha, community that lives in harmony and awareness. Dwelling in the refuge of Buddha, I clearly see the path of light and beauty in the world. Dwelling in the refuge of Dharma, I learn to open many doors on the path of transformation. Dwelling in the refuge of Sangha, shining light that supports me, keeping my practice free from obstruction. Taking refuge in the Buddha and myself, I aspire to help all people recognize their own awakened nature, realizing the mind of love. Taking refuge in the Dharma and myself, I aspire to help all people fully master the ways of practice and walk together on the path of liberation. Taking refuge in the Sangha and myself, I aspire to help all people build fourfold communities to embrace all beings and support their transformation. We'll bow 3 times. Offering of flowers, this spread of flowers, fresh hued and fragrant, I offer at the sacred lotus feet of the noble sage, with flowers in great variety, the Buddha I adore, and by this merit may I gain release. Even as these flowers must fade, my body too will pass away. Offering of light, with lights brightly shining, dispelling the gloom, I honor the fully awakened, that light of the triple world, who dispels the gloom of ignorance. Offering of incense, perfumed with infinite qualities, the Tathagata, fragrant of face and form, I revere with incense sweet and penetrating. Offering of water, we offer water, symbol of purity, to the Buddhas of all times. May this water both wash away the obscurations of ignorance and sate the thirst of craving and aversion. Bow 3 times. Notes on mindful breathing. Anapadisati is mindfulness on respiration. Ana means inhalation, and apana means exhalation. Concentration on the breathing process leads to one-pointedness of the mind and ultimately to insight, which enables one to attain liberation, freedom, and perfection. The Buddha practiced concentration on respiration before he attained enlightenment, but this beneficial meditation may be practiced by any person irrespective of religious beliefs. We will inhale through the nostrils normally, without strain, without force. While doing so, the mind may wander, but one should not be discouraged. When a wandering thought is detected, label it as thinking and return to the breath. All right. So we can just do a couple of short, deep breaths of meditation. Come to the present moment, and then we can come back and discuss Buddha and the tarot. Sometimes I miss that bell. I heard Rinpoche say one time, they have this little drum that swings back and forth. You've seen it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they also have, what is, sometimes they do that, and sometimes they have like I forget, oh no, a bell, yeah. They have a bell in one hand and like the drum in the other. There's several like paraphernalia, Buddhist paraphernalia that they use. But usually it's a bell and a drum that goes back and forth, swings back and forth. And I asked Rinpoche one time about like what was he thinking up there when he was saying, and he's saying prayers, right? In Tibetan, you know. I said, what was he thinking up there when he was doing those ceremonies? And he was saying, sometimes he's thinking, I hope I'm doing this right.
Aww. Like a professional. I mean, oh, hope this is right.
You know, it takes some coordination to keep that rhythm going, you know.
They do it the whole time?
Only during certain parts of the ceremony when they're doing certain prayers. And sometimes there's less ringing of the bells, and sometimes they stop the drums according to the prayer that they're doing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's nerve-wracking.
And one time Rinpoche was doing it, and one of the little things flew off the drum, and I grabbed it and gave it back to him, and he like tied it on there and fixed it and stuff.
Kept going? Oh my god.
It's funny. Nothing's ever perfect, right?
Mm-mm.
I guess Kayla's on her trip, huh?
Yeah, she's in Europe right now.
Awesome.
I saw her Instagram story. She said she's been awake for 24 hours. She got off her plane and then I think they did like some touristy stuff, and then they went to a Dua Lipa concert.
Oh yeah?
Like, I don't know how I ended up here, but here I am.
Oh really?
Huh?
How funny. Well, I hope she has a great time.
I know she will. And she got a job she was really wanting.
Oh really?
When she comes back, yeah.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah, she's so blessed.
That is great news. So that, I guess that all feeds in exactly with what we're talking about today. Is the Buddha and the Tarot is a book that I got. I thought this was an ancient book. Turns out it came out like in 2017 actually.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I thought this was like from I don't know. I thought it was an old, ancient book, but no, it's 2017. And so there's a lot of symbolism. As you know, I don't believe in the tarot cards as like divination or reading fortunes or some kind of magic. I used to be afraid of them. I mean, they used to give me the creeps, right? But actually, if you start learning what the symbolism is behind it, it goes into psychiatry and psychology and Carl Jung, archetypes and symbols, the symbolic language of like dreams, like we interpret our dreams because they're symbolic of something else, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's so cool.
Yeah, I had a dream. I was going through kind of a really rough patch at work, and a coworker showed up in my dream and told me something that totally changed how I was looking at my work. You know what I mean? It released all the pressure, and it wasn't something that I would have ever came up with myself, you know? And this is something that he would have never said in real life. But this coworker showed up in my dreams and told me something that was so profound that I had to think about it like for days. Like, what did he mean by that, you know? And then when I finally got kind of realized, after I processed the information, it just totally took the anxiety out of what I was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's how the world, our dreams, symbols, will speak to us if we're aware and open to it. What were you gonna say?
What did he say to you?
It wouldn't mean anything to you, but it's something that I wouldn't have thought of. Like, I dreamed it, but like so much in dreams, we wake up and like, how did I think of that? You know what I mean?
Every single day.
Right? So that's why dreams have always been so important, going back to the beginning of time, and that's why even Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud and all these different psychiatrists and therapists and stuff, they've always like given some type of attention to people's dreams, because whether you can say that it's very like mystical, or you can say that it's our subconscious that's trying to tell us something, and our higher self, or our deeper self, or our subconscious will come to us and tell us and speak to us in words that our normal, average, everyday mind doesn't think of, So much so that it seems like it's coming from somewhere else, that it's coming from outside of ourselves, because we don't talk like that. We wouldn't have thought that, and that's what makes us stand up and pay attention to it, because it's like, God, I couldn't have come up with that myself. Like, that had to be important. I need to think about this, And so that's the symbolic nature of language. And that's exactly, I think, what the tarot cards are. It's dream language. It means different things to different people at different times. You can look at this card when you're 20, then look at it again when you're 30, and look at it again when you're 50, and it's all going to speak to you in different ways, And so this book is interesting because it shows Buddha's life in the tarot cards, and so I thought we could discuss it a little bit. Let me share this. What I was going to say about Kayla is, can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
The fool is known as the adventurer who doesn't wait for things to be perfect before they take a leap of faith. The fool goes out, it's like the naivety. How do you say it? Naivety?
Yeah. Oh, the naive.
Yeah, when you're naive or innocent and you don't know, but you're just going out there. So you could, Kayla, she lost her job, right? Before she left. But she went ahead and took the trip anyway, and just decided everything's going to be okay, right? And then now you're saying that they emailed her or something that said that she has a new job waiting for her when she gets back, right? So that's kind of sums up what the fool does. The fool steps out before he or she looks, That's one interpretation, because you see that the fool is there on the cliff, and I'll show you down here. There's the female fool, and she's walking. That reminds me of something that you would have worn in your teenage years, right?
Yeah, and she even has headphones.
Headphones and a little backpack.
So cute.
Yeah. So, and there's all these modern interpretation of the tarot, right? I personally am sticking to the the Rider-Waite tarot. And they were drawn by Pamela Coleman. And they're like the oldest, most used cards and most popular cards. And they say that she, as an artist, her name was Pixie. Her nickname was Pixie. And I saw a picture of her, and she just seems so. I don't know when she lived back in the. I don't even know. But anyway, she looked like a hippie before there were hippies, right? And so she channeled these symbols, like in her art. There's something about, I look at the modern cards and they're pretty and they're awesome and I'm sure they work, but like when I look at Pamela Coleman's art on the original Rider-Waite deck, I get a lot out of the symbology, right? So part of being conscious or being aware or even noticing archetypes or even how dreams are speaking to you, you have to be observant. So do you want to maybe point out all the stuff that you see in this card?
Yeah, I like that the sun is shining.
There you go.
That shows that good things are to come. He's looking up high, so he's confident in himself. He has a friend nearby. The wind is blowing towards him, so it's like he's going in the right direction. And the flower has to mean something. The flower has to mean like growth.
I like that. I never heard that. The flower means growth. I like that.
Thanks. What does it mean?
Yeah, so it means a whole lot of things. It's according to who you ask, right? So we can read this one part. I just happened to pull this up this morning because I was looking for a picture of this card that I could pull up on the screen.
Uh-huh.
It says the Fool. Well, actually it says 0. So, you know, these cards are numbered. The major arcana are numbered. And numbers are all through the tarot. And by no means am I any kind of expert on the tarot, believe me. But it's significant that the Fool, the number at the top of this card is 0, right? So it says the Fool, the beginning and the end. The Fool, clothed in divine self-assurance, walks to the edge of a cliff amidst a yellow sky before majestic mountains, ignoring his animal mind. I guess that's like the monkey mind, the chatter of the mind. The dog yapping at his heels, he looks towards the heavens before taking his leap of faith. This card is beginning. This card is the beginning and the end, 0. Thus, he represents the infinite, coming from the void, a cycle that all life follows. As we come to learn through the Fool, out of nothing comes the infinite. The 0 is the cosmic egg, the beginning of all creation and all life. He begins his journey conquering both the world and himself, as we all do. Before us all lie the lowest lows and the highest highs. Before all of us lie the lowest lows and the highest highs. The Fool, 0, is the start and the end of the archetypical hero's journey, where we're all called to adventure and make our way into the unknown. With guidance, we face our challenges, journey through the abysses, transform, and atone before the returning to the beginning of our great adventure. So this is going back to the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell, talking about how all life, this is symbolic of life. Once again, it's a metaphor for life. All of us have to leave home. You know, all great adventure starts first with leaving home, right? You're called out to adventure. There's a certain time in your life when you get to a certain age where you're like, if I don't leave this place, I'm never going to grow and change and mature and become myself, right? So at some point, the bird has to leave the nest. The kangaroo has to get out of the pouch. The eagle has to fly, right? But it's very scary, right? And so in the mythic journey or the hero's journey, you set out alone on the path to discover who you are. But when you do that, the universe rewards your faith. The universe rewards your courage. And so they'll send helpers to you. They'll send friends, they'll send boyfriends, they'll send girlfriends, they'll send relationships, they'll send jobs, they'll send all kind of things to help you. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but at a certain point you cross the threshold, like leaving your hometown or entering a job that you're not sure you're qualified for, or going to college or something scary. You pass through that threshold where you're unsure if you're going to make it or not. And so you go through this whole journey of transformation, learning, being challenged, and eventually you return with these gifts and these talents and this intelligence that you've gained on your journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could also say that's kind of like the job of a parent, to go through all these trials and tribulations and kind of screw up and then eventually come back with wisdom and maturity to help their children or help the next generation. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so you grow wise by your journey. But at first, it's very, very scary, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing a lot of talking. Do you have anything to say about any of this?
I think it's really cool. I love this. I think it's really cool that they call him the Fool, even though he's doing something very, very brave and courageous.
Mm-hmm.
And I like, can you go down to the bottom?
Down here?
Yeah, to the hero's journey.
Yeah.
I like that it has the unknown so large at the bottom. Like, people can just stay in the known their whole life in that top little circle and be unhappy and stay stuck in their ways. Or you can grow and go to the unknown and see how far your transformation can take you.
Yeah, it's escaping the known is where wisdom lies,
Yeah. Really cool. And I'm also going to tell Kayla you called her the Fool.
Well, so that's the deceptive thing. Like you say, they call him the Fool, yet the attributes and everything that is in all the connotations to this card is about bravery and taking a leap of faith and moving forward,
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of gets into what I was saying about the Buddha and the tarot, is that oftentimes what society calls a fool is wisdom.
Yeah. Or freedom.
Or freedom, yeah. Stepping outside of convention and what people tell you and expect of you and all those things, finding your own voice and your own way.
Mm-hmm.
That looks foolish at first, but then if you become successful in it, then people say that you're wise and that you made the right choice, and you know what I mean?
Uh-huh. So does it imply that you're always on a journey, or you are sometimes taking a journey?
I think it implies that all of life is a journey, right? But the journey is up to you. It's like according to how much do you want to learn in this life,
Yeah.
There are some people, and I've said this 100 times, that some people say that we choose these lives before we come here.
Mm-hmm.
And that if you believe in reincarnation, we've come here multiple times. And we must be coming here to learn something.
Yeah.
In Buddhism, it says that we're working towards enlightenment. Buddha had to come infinite times, had to live infinite lives before he found enlightenment,
Mm-hmm.
And that all of us, not only are we already enlightened, but we don't know it, but eventually we'll all be enlightened and will know it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think oftentimes life will throw you curveballs and things will happen to you where you're constantly on that adventure, on that journey, you know. Even if you feel comfortable and you think like everything is fine, just wait. Something will happen to prove that you're still on the hero's journey, you know. Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah.
So some of the things that I can point out here that's in this book is that his clothes are bright. It says that his clothes are garish. I had to look that up. It says garish means bright, noticeable, shiny, like he's dressed for success, right? And that's not you know, he's looking pretty fancy for a guy walking through the hills and hiking, you know.
Yeah. With the little boots.
With his little golden boots, you know. But once again, finding your own style, being who you authentically are, you know, that's a sign of finding your own voice, is dressing how you want to dress, you know.
That's true.
And then the Buddha, people think that Buddhism is all about having a shaved head. Really, Buddha grew his hair very long, and he put it up on top, called a top knot, like a man bun. And then he renounced all his belongings, and he wore a patch robe. And what that means is, by going to the dump and finding a bunch of clothes, he ripped off pieces and sewed them all together to make his own robe. And that was a sign of poverty, that he renounced wealth or possessions and all that. So his hair and his patch robe was a sign that he was on a spiritual journey, that he had renounced everything for his journey. You know?
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Also, Buddha was, you would say that he was an orphan in a way, because his mom died when he was very young. And he was just a little kid when his mom died. So he had to go out in life without a mom, which I hear, you know, so often is very, very hard to overcome something like that when your mom dies when you're young, you know. And so Buddha had to, you know, even though he had a dad, his dad really didn't understand him or support him. He had a stepmom that was pretty good, but still there was that death of your mom when you're a kid that he had to overcome that trauma, and he was always kind of an orphan in his life.
Yeah.
What else? You could say that when the Buddha went off to seek enlightenment, that those helpers, like this little dog, helpers were sent. Buddha studied with 3 different masters in the early days, and he would later renounce and say that those teachings weren't, you know, like the ultimate teachings, but they did help direct him on his path. Like he learned what didn't work. These teachers came to him and tried to show him things, and he realized that those things didn't work, and they weren't his path, you know. And then after that, you know, it was after his enlightenment, there was all these monks and nuns that came and became the first community. So those were also helpers. But you know, first and foremost, Buddha had to set out alone by himself, and then he attracted those helpers. The fool taken off here, you could say that this fool is naive or lost in samsara, like deluded, not paying attention, about to step off a cliff. Or you could say the fool is enlightened and totally understands and trusts the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, it could be that the fool could mean an idiot who's about to step off a cliff. Or the fool could be thinking the world thinks you're foolish, but you're actually wise.
Yeah.
You're actually enlightened, but your enlightenment looks like foolishness to the world.
I would hate to hear or feel either one of those if the fool was pulled.
Yeah.
Either you're an idiot or the world thinks you're an idiot. Next.
Next. That's only black or white, either one. Can't be anything in between. In Buddhism, Buddha is considered the Nirmanakaya. And the Nirmanakaya is the manifestation of the teaching. So Buddha's teachings are the Dharma. And the Dharma has always existed. The teachings of all the Buddhas have always existed from all time. But we forget the teaching. So every once in a while, every couple of million years, a Buddha has to be born to remind us of the teachings. And so the Buddha's teachings, the essence of the Buddha is called the Dharmakaya. But sometimes this teaching has to be born in the flesh. Just like, in Christianity, it's like God is invisible. It's hard for us to have a relationship with God. So Jesus had to come to represent God in the flesh. Mm-hmm. So Jesus was fully man and he was also fully God. Mm-hmm. And by seeing Jesus' example and hearing his words, we know more about God. Mm-hmm. So same thing with Buddha. So the teachings are always in our heart, but unless a Buddha comes to represent that teaching, we'll never fully get it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Like Buddhism and Christianity, all of the teachings or the raw teachings written down are full of symbolism, and for you to interpret how you need to hear it in your life that time.
Absolutely. And so this card, the Fool, is kind of like the manifestation. That's the visual symbol of, you could say, that journey that we're all on, the hero's journey. Right? Mm-hmm. So we could talk about that all day long, but until we actually see it and recognize it in some form, we'll not realize that we're all this fool. And there's some things like a feather in his cap and like holding the flower and all his belongings on a stick. Those are like, Buddha always had everything he needed. Enlightenment was always inside of him. He just didn't know it, And
I think too, like knowing the hero's journey, you can take comfort in everything that life throws at you. Because you're like, oh, it's just the journey, a helper will come when I need it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you have everything you need, right? So you have to trust that. So like that feather in his cap could be a sign of intelligence, or in Christianity you see these saints, they all have halos above their head, and even the Buddha, when you see the Buddha, he's like shining, so there's something about having the magic that you need, or the intelligence you need, or the smarts, whatever it is, you have it. You have it in your brain and you have it outside of you. If something happens, you reach into that little bag and you have just enough money for that taxi, or just enough money for that hotel room, or just enough money, and then next day you reach in that bag and it's there again. You have exactly what you need again, miraculously,
The Mary Poppins bag.
The Mary Poppins bag, is that what it is? Uh-huh. And then the flower, there's a whole lot in Buddhism. Any kind of thing that you see in Buddhism, especially in Tibetan Buddhism, you can see these Tonkas behind me, these paintings behind me, there's all kind of flowers painted all over them. Anytime you see a Buddhist shrine, a Buddhist temple, anything with Buddhism, you're going to see flowers everywhere. And that's symbolic of growth, as you said. You mentioned that. Flowers don't live, and flowers aren't forever. Like, they go away, and you think, oh my God, during the winter, it's killed all the flowers. But then in spring, suddenly they burst out again. Mm-hmm. And you're like, where have they been hiding? I thought they were all dead, Mm-hmm. Same thing with our lives. We go through dark parts of our lives where we think that all is lost, and then suddenly something beautiful happens that will pull us out of that, and we'll blossom again. Mm-hmm. In Buddhism, there's something called the flower sermon. And close to the end of his life, Buddha was sick and old and ill, and he was going to die. And he was asked to speak to all his thousands of monks and nuns. And he was late, and it was hard to get there. And he was kind of like walking slow. And finally got there, and he got up in front of all those monks and nuns. And he didn't even say anything. He just pulled up a flower. He showed a flower. And they say out of all those thousands of monks and all those thousands of nuns, one monk smiled. And I think his name was Kassapa. I think his name's in here somewhere. Kassapa or something like that. Uh-huh. And they say by that monk smiling, Buddha talked to that monk later and made him like Kasyapa, something like that. And anyway, that was the beginning of a new type of Buddhism called Zen Buddhism, or sudden awakening.
Oh, cool.
And you can transfer that without words, without teaching, without anything. Uh-huh. And they say that, so in Zen, it's all about sitting and being aware of the present moment and watching your mind and realizing that you're already enlightened. That there doesn't have to be anything outside of yourself. There doesn't have to be teachings. There doesn't have to be like gurus or, you don't have to go anywhere. But look inside yourself and you'll see. And it's called sudden awakening. Just realizing that you are already awakened is the teaching, right? And so they say when Buddha pulled out that flower, in some way, when Kassapa saw it, it went, dude, oh my God, like, I'm already enlightened.
So Kassapa is the one that made, founded Zen?
Yeah, he's the founder of Zen Buddhism, which would later travel all over the world.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, just by looking at that flower. So, and you also said something Zen-like the other day. You said when you feel stressed out, you go outside and you become clouds and you notice bugs. You remember saying that?
Yeah.
That is a very Zen-like thing to do. Become a cloud, notice bugs, notice flowers. Very Zen-like.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think we nailed it, huh?
Yeah, I like that.
All right.
I don't like the modern one.
You don't?
No.
Yeah, that's what I say. I think there's a certain amount of... I think it's cool. It's cool to have that as a poster or something. But when you're trying to read the symbology...
Yeah, because I wouldn't, the guy holding the flower, the fool holding the flower, and then the fool holding the cell phone is not the same to me.
Yeah.
Those are translated to different things.
Yeah.
To me, that's a distraction from her journey.
Yeah, the cell phone and listening to headphones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it shows a certain carefreeness, but at the same time, she's not available to her, the outside world. You know, he looks like he's actually embracing.
Yeah, the world. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The wind and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and some people say, you don't know, we can't see underneath this cliff. There might be another cliff, or you know, he actually might not be that high. Like, have you ever seen these videos where it shows this person that, like, they're gonna jump and
right there.
and the ground's right there, you know?
Yeah, that's so true.
I see that on TikTok too sometimes. It looks like they're up in the air and there's like snow, like they're flying really high, and then they jump out of the back of this thing and it turns out that they really weren't high at all. That it just looked like that, you know? So,
That's true.
alright, let me stop this and then we'll go to the...
Did Autumn talk to you guys about Sunday?
No.
Oh, never mind. We'll finish this and then I'll talk to you.
Yeah, let's go ahead and close and then we'll talk some more. Alright. Contemplation of the 10 perfecting qualities. May I be generous and helpful. May I be pure, virtuous, and well-disciplined. May I not be selfish. May I be strenuous, energetic, and persevering. May I be patient. May I be able to bear and forbear the wrongs of others. May I be honest and truthful. May I be firm and resolute. May I be kind, compassionate, and friendly. May I be humble, calm, quiet, unruffled, and serene. Discourse on loving kindness. Just as a mother would protect her only child even at her own life's risk, so let everyone cultivate a boundless heart towards all beings. Let our hearts of boundless love pervade the whole world, so that all beings without exception might be happy. Closing dedication of merit. If I have attained any merit by the result of this practice, may it be accredited to all beings everywhere. May they find the source of their suffering and extinguish it. May they find the source of their happiness and increase it. May all beings dwell in ultimate unalloyed nibbana. We'll bow to the Buddha, the shrine, and our Sangha brothers and sisters with smiles of gratitude. Closing bell. Alright, so that is the Fool in the Buddha in the Tarot. And next week we'll grab another card and we will discuss what that all means.
I like that little holder.
Yeah.